says. The one-man cars, that obviously will put police officers in greater harm's way than they face with two people in the car, obviously. This response of the mayor to the police officers' complaints on this matter would be laughable if it wasn't so transparent that if it didn't put the police officers involved in a situation where they could possibly seriously hurt or even killed. That's what this crazy thing is that he wants to do. This memorandum with the Justice Department apparently has changed that. Thank God for that. As I mentioned to you at the beginning of the program, I was going to make some suggestions that we can reduce crime by the administration merely following the law. Last February, the voters of Flint overwhelmingly approved a $2 million increase in our property taxes that was supposed to be to keep 40 police officers employed on the successful community policing program that has been going on in Flint for the last 15 and 20 years, but has been slowly being siphoned out by Mayor Stanley, by Kurtz, and now by Williamson, of the money and the officers to be assigned to this particular function. The money is earmarked. Now here's what the proposal said. This is the thing you voted on and probably passed like 80-85%. It says, it gives the section of the city charter of Flint, be amended to authorize renewal of the existing millage, 2 mills per $1,000 on taxable valuation is finally equalized for the purpose of funding the citywide community police program. It is estimated that 2 mills would raise approximately $3 million. Now, the question most people ask when they hear the term community police, what is it? How does it differ from the regular police work? Well, the primary difference is that the police officer is assigned to an area, usually a neighborhood. It's like a beat cop. Those of you who are probably too young to understand what a beat cop is, he's the one that has a particular area that he walks around in. And he knows what's going on in the community. He goes to their neighborhood meetings. He goes to the church meetings. He knows you by your first name. He knows your children. He knows where they're supposed to be. And he's moving around the community. Now today, our program had the officers in a patrol car doing that. And they would ride around a certain area in the community, a neighborhood, might be 10, 12, 14 blocks square, whatever. And they would look out and be in contact with the people. They knew where the drug houses were, they knew where the prostitution houses were, and they would call on the drug squad or the vice squad, and it would be they calling 911 and telling them, come in. And then if you needed a police officer and had to call 911, under this community policing, he was within 3 minutes of any home in his neighborhood. He'd get the call on his call box and he'd be in there. Today they're waiting 2, 3, 4 hours, sometimes a day for people to show up to a call. And it's not really the police officer's fault. They're understaffed. They're understaffed. And people ask, well, wouldn't that cost a lot more money? Hey, we're paying for it. That's what this millage was all about. Let me just quickly mention to you, here's a bulletin by the Flint Police which shows they understand what this program is. It says, the Partnership Effective Community Policing has a positive impact on reducing neighborhood crime. And there's no question that all the statistical studies that have been made on community policing, which is now just about all over the United States, all agree it's helping to reduce fear of crime and enhancing the quality of life in the community. To accomplish these things by combining the efforts of resources out of the police, local government, and community members. In other words, all the various resources in the community are pulled in. This police officer is moving around. He sees problems in the home. He sees problems over here. And he pulls in these community resources to help. Social services, justice, lawyers from the Bar Association who give their services free. He's pulling all this in together to impact that community in a positive way. That's not being done now. It's supposed to be done because we paid for it to be done. But what happens is the administrations that have been there, the last three administrations, Stanley, Kurtz, and Williamson, has been pulling this money out and using in other areas of the police departments. And I'm saying that this is where you can reduce crime. Follow the law. The law says you have to spend the money for this purpose, and they're not doing it. Here's another thing they talk about here. The idea for the Times community policing is a collaborative effort between the police and the community that identifies problems of crime and disorder and involves all elements of the community in search for solutions to these problems. It is founded on close mutual beneficial ties between the police and the community members. At the center of the community policing are three essential complementary core components: community partnership, problem solving, and change management. In other words, the management is localized. So you work together. It's like, you know the police officer. He's there every day. If he's off a day or two, the person who replaces him, you know that person. They're going to your block club meetings. They're going to your church meetings. They're hearing what you're saying. You got a drug house over here, a prostitution. They're there to take care of the problem. We don't have that now. That's the whole idea of community policing. Community partnership recognizes the value of bringing the people back into the policing process. Problem solving identifies the specific concerns that the community members feel are most threatening to their safety and well-being. You don't have that now. I mean, you lock yourselves in your house and don't come out till daylight. And when you call 911, you're hoping they show up. And then it goes on to say, what makes community policing different? Law enforcement has long recognized the need for cooperation for the community it serves. Officers speak to neighborhood groups, participate in business and civic events, consult with social agencies, and take part in education programs for school children. And then it says foot, bike, or horse patrols bring police closer to the community. You know, they want them out there where you can see them. And then it says that policing concepts currently in vogue have tended to isolate officers from their communities they serve, which can hamper crime control efforts. Community policing allows law enforcement to get back to the principle upon which it is founded, to integrate itself once again into the fabric of the community so that the people come to the police for counsel and help before a serious problem arises. In other words, they don't react to crime, they prevent crime. And that's the whole concept of community policing. Police services delivered through neighborhood patrol officers. Patrol officers and deputies are the primary provider of police services in the community policing effort. They handle the daily policing needs of the community. The entire police organization backs the effort of the neighborhood police officers. In other words, you got a drug house, bang, you call the drug unit, they come out and they take care of it. You have a house of prostitution, they come out and take care of it. You call in about it, they may or may not get there. but they have to respond to that police officer because he reports to somebody else and says, I gave this information to the drug squad or the vice squad 3 times and they did nothing. That soon stops. Finally, it says, wide-ranging benefits. Law enforcement is finding that in addition to bringing police closer to the people, community policing offers a myriad of other benefits, making effective use of talents and resources available within the community will help extend severely strained police resources. In other words, if somebody has, a family has a very serious alcohol problem, there's a wife getting beat up all the time, there are agencies out there that can help. That police officer can go out and maybe pull them in to give some help to this person. If somebody has a drug problem, they call in a social agency, can deal with that. So the point is that the police are there to help. They help you find these resources. They make these resources work for you. While you yourself may call and nothing may happen. But the police will make them happen. That's the whole concept of community policing. So it's a great project. We have the money for it, but they're stealing it for other purposes, and that's illegal. Somebody's got to do something about it. Let me take a moment now and talk about Proposal 2. It's known as the proposal to ban affirmative action in government, hiring, education, admission to colleges, government contracts. An example, the proposal says you can't give preferential treatment to someone applying for a job, admission to a state university, or granting a government contract because the applicant is a particular color, gender, or nationality. That's a little summary of mine. It may be a little off, but that gives you an idea what it is. Here's the language of the November 7th ballot. Proposal 2 seeks to, quote, amend the state constitution to ban affirmative action programs that give preferential treatment to groups or individuals based on their race, gender, color, or national origin for public employment, education, and contracting purposes. That's what this is all about. And okay, let me just briefly mention that the concept of affirmative action was established, years and years ago, 50s, 60s, you're talking 60, 70 years ago, to correct what many of us saw as an unfairness of past generations in their treatment of people of color, females, and all of these people were deprived of equal opportunity because of their race, their gender, their nationality. The concept was to allow people who were discriminated against kind of to catch up. I mean, that's an oversimplification, but that's what it was really intended to do. Because they were kept back for so long, now let them catch up. And keep in mind, don't believe the rhetoric coming from each side of to demonize the other. Everybody supporting the proposal to eliminate affirmative action in public government dealings are not racist. They believe that everybody should be treated equally, and they feel that affirmative action does not permit that. So they're honestly involved in this thing. Some of these people, I've marched with in civil rights demonstrations in years past, 70s, 80s, 90s. They're a strong supporter of civil rights and civil liberties, but still support the elimination of this affirmative action because they feel it flies right into the face of the concept of equality. I would never question their sincerity or integrity on this issue. I just simply, they believe the time has come where the younger generation, this generation, should no longer have to pay for the errors of their forefathers. In other words, white students shouldn't be permitted from being admitted to the University of Michigan because another student who happens to be a female or a male or a African American or Latino gets credit for just being that while the white student gets nothing. Sounds pretty strong, but let me tell you something. I've been at this battle personally for 50 years. When I came into the prosecutor's office as a prosecuting attorney in 1963, we had 190,000 people living in the city of Flint. The Flint Police Department had one black police officer. Now, that wasn't by chance. That was by design. You have a city with, at that time, was about 25% black, and we had one police officer with 300 white ones. Come on. Clear discrimination. Unfairness. We had working in the city of Flint in the city hall where there was 600-700 employees all throughout there. 1 or 2 black employees. County government the same way, 1 or 2 black employees. We worked hard to change that. Changes have been made. It's been moving in that direction. Unofficial affirmative action programs in the city and what have you, in private business and everything, have really helped. I personally oppose Proposition 2, Proposal 2, simply because I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we've balanced the scales. I don't think government yet is totally colorblind. We have racists making decisions in powerful positions in government in regard to hiring, in regard to admissions in colleges, and in regard to contracting. I personally oppose it, but I certainly would not suggest to you the people who support it are racist. There is an honest disagreement on what the Constitution of the United States and the state of Michigan stands for, and that's the issue. Not because one is anti-black or anti-white. A yes vote on proposal will prohibit preferential treatment in government hiring, contracts, and education. A vote no will continue the government's right to give preferential treatment for the same purposes. I personally will vote no. Now, unfortunately, I don't have enough time to read you an article that was in the Detroit Free Press. It says, "Don't add health care gap." This doctor from the University of Michigan is talking about if you pass this, the opportunity to have good medical health in black communities will decrease because he feels you have to give preferential treatment to black students who want to go into medicine because they are the ones who will most likely go back to the black communities and provide medical help that they may not be able to get if you don't have those black doctors. That's an oversimplification what's said here, but it's very, very convincing to me. And that's another example of why I would oppose the Proposal 2. But again, it's only my feeling and my own experiences, and I love many of the people that I know who are supporting it. So again, I wish I had more time. We didn't get to the Rose Kelly case. I may try to get to that next week, but thank God that Judge Weiss is in charge of this because he'll take care of the kids that are remaining. But we also need an investigation into that department that allowed that situation to go on. See you next week. In the meantime, we'll be at the White Horse.